Before this video starts, I'd like to do a quick shout out to every one of the new subscribers and the old ones that have stuck around for the last few years through all the different platforms and stuff for breaking this YouTube account past 1,000 subscribers and for crossing 149,000 views on the last video. Jesus Christ. So thank you all for sticking around. And I got a few confessions to make. If you're a new subscriber here for Overwatch content, you're going to be very sorely disappointed. My ass has been clean of Overwatch for almost 6 months now. There's a reason why that video was talking about outside aspects and not playing the game. I will not do that to myself again by forcing myself to play that piece of shit. So for this week, we are going to be talking about hero shooters though, so don't go anywhere. For this week, we're going to be talking about the one thing that Marvel Rivals has on every other hero shooter on the market. It has an IP. Now, I want to be so absolutely crystal clear here. Most hero shooters, except Concord, have awesome IPs, are kind of squandered by the developers that have them, that never see their full potential. When it comes to making a live service game, there is one advantage that you will always have on people who are trying to do it with an initial IP, and that is brand recognition. But when it comes to designing a hero shooter, there are so many other benefits that I don't think people have realized. I'm going to go through all of them here today. Welcome to this week's Media Monday. So the first thing on our list is heroes. You can't have a hero shooter without heroes, and heroes need to immediately strike a chord with a set number of players, need to play cool, otherwise people aren't going to play them. And I feel like in much the same vein as like fighting games, introducing guest characters always builds more hype than original characters, or something like Fortnite collab events almost always generates more excitement than the battle passes. Having a backlog of recognizable IP to pick from makes your job a lot easier as a game developer. You don't need to come up with cool settings for your world to be playable. You just need to pick and choose and reimagine cool settings that already exist for your maps. You don't need to come up with an awesome character from scratch. You just need to pick one of the thousands of awesome characters you already have the rights to. From Overwatch's development, that Sigma came to be because they were originally working on Malga.
And we were developing the character of Malga. And we thought Malga was going to be this character.
Yeah.
But as the abilities started to come together and Jeff and Josh were putting together this really fun barrier tank, we're like, this doesn't fit the personality of Malga at all.
Which is a really cool story about like the flexibility and improvisation of the Overwatch devs. It feels insane to think that at one point in time, those two were the same character. But that's true. But it also is worth pointing out that it's so hard to come up with iconic characters that you can end up creating a whole new character just because they don't mesh that well with the original character you were designing. And then you end up with Malga, who has been in development since before Sigma even existed as a concept and still launched the way he is today. That's how hard it is to create heroes in a game like Overwatch or just any hero shooter. It's really fucking hard. Same thing with maps, and I feel like that's where Rivals really has the advantage. They also consistently drop characters in pairs, at least before the launch of the game. Most recently, we had Captain America and Winter Soldier. Before that, we had Jeff the Landshark and Thor were announced at the same time. Before that, we had Adam Warlock and Venom. And if 2 heroes at a time is the release sort of cadence that they're going to go with, that fixes so many problems. Let's say that you are a main support player in Overwatch, and you're waiting for a new character to be added to your main support lineup. Well, first off, you have to wait a year between support drops. Then you have to wait for them to actually make a main support instead of a flex support. And then a flex support might come out anyways 3 times in a row, and you get stuck with a main support that blows ass or breaks the game. That's not really as big of a problem with Rivals, because if you launch 2 characters at a time, you might not be a fan of the one for your role, but at least you're getting something for your role, and at least someone else is getting something for their role, which means, yeah, there's probably going to be a loser each time for like other tank and support, so DPS kind of gets shafted again. But it also means that you can release characters more often for more underpopulated roles to try and sort of build hype for them and try and fill them out. If Overwatch ever tried to release 2 supports in a row, there would be an uproar, because that would mean someone else had to wait over a year to get their next next character. That's just too much waiting. In Rivals, you could release supports in back-to-back seasons and still launch a tank and a DPS if they continue to do the 2 character drops. There's also a problem that Overwatch and just every other game that has tanks in it has had for a really long time. I mean, I love playing tank. You guys, I know you love playing tank, except you're a fucking liar. Nobody likes playing tank. Everybody loves to say that they would play more tank. Everybody loves to say that they like playing tank, but the reality of it is people don't play tank. People play DPS, and sometimes people also play support. People, for the most part, do not play tank. Now, Marvel Rivals is doing a bit of an experiment here because it's bringing back open queue, which means more often than not, someone is going to be forced to pick tank who wouldn't want to pick it beforehand.
Can you not be Hanzo, dude?
Hanzo, will you please swap?
Yeah, I don't know if we need a Hanzo.
Could we not have a Widow?
Can you not play Bastion so you can kill?
So if you're already forcing people to flex onto other roles all the time, this is why having a larger character pool in your game is gonna be really important. If I want to play Spider-Man and Spider-Man only, but we only have 1 tank and we need a second tank, I can play Venom, and while he's not the same as Spider-Man, he has a lot in common with, which makes him more fun for me and makes me more likely to swap. If I'm playing Overwatch and I want to play Genji, sure, I could swap to like Winston, but let's be honest, it's not the same thing. Doomfist would make more sense. What about like Tracer? What about a glass cannon character jumping in and out of fights? There's not really that alternative on tank. Or like a sniper character. That's not on tank. Rivals, because it has a bigger backlog to pull from, can be a bit more creative with the characters they implement. I mean, they're already doing stuff I personally wouldn't have chose, which inspires me with the creativity of the team, like making Doctor Strange a tank. You're telling me that the mage guy is not a support, he's a tank, and then when I play him in the game, I go, yeah, no, that makes sense, he's a tank. God damn, that's sick. That's like every single character in Rivals. Obviously, you got like your Groots and your Thors and your Captain Americas where it's obvious they're gonna be a tank. But every once in a while, you get a character where you're like, I didn't see that coming. Especially with supports. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another type of Iron Man character fill out the support category, another web slinger in the support category, or another Spider-Man in the DPS category. See, that's the benefit of this system, is there's a lot of characters with a lot of overlap, so you can spec those characters into different roles, so the general playstyles feel a bit more synergistic together. And then building onto that with all of the content stuff we've talked about, you're getting much more content. So the odds of you getting a character you actually like are much higher. When Overwatch 2 dropped and there was Tank Doomfist and Junker Queen launching at the same time, I remember that tank queues were actually kinda long because people wanted to play tanks in 5v5. It was exciting and new.
I don't think it'll take long before people are like, oh yeah, I hate tank.
Y'all know that one moment from SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs is playing golf and he goes, "Wait a minute, I hate golf."
Wait a minute, I hate playing tank.
And that makes me think that maybe people weren't not wanting to play tank in all of these games. Maybe the tank offerings just kinda sucked and were kinda the same. I mean, I remember being a gold player in Overwatch 1. You were running Ryan Zarya or you were losing.
Who was like, are you blind?
Oh, I don't think so.
What? I just got the point.
I remember playing Sigma for like a year and a half straight because he was that strong, and I remember Goats. How much do you think of Overwatch is people actually not wanting to play tanks? And how much of it do you think is them not wanting to play those tanks when they're meta? Think about all the Hog metas, Orisa metas. When you tell me I gotta log on and play 4 hours of Orisa in a night, you might as well just throw me off a building at that point, because that sounds like a better alternative. But when you're 6v6, when you're open queue, and when there isn't the designated hardcore roles of players, you're encouraged to flex more and build around the synergies. It's a lot more exciting, and I think it kind of fixes that problem a bit. But we'll have to see with time on that.
Nah, I mean, the game isn't out yet, so literally all of this is basically just copium.
But when the biggest thing I was concerned about with the entire game was characters being locked behind paywalls,
and they've confirmed that that's not a thing they're doing, I'm okay with making a bit of a copium video because the future's looking bright for this game. I mean, goddamn. And also just because I do want to see, like, in a few years' time, if they can make it so you can have a full 6-person 2-2-2 web slingers comp, or a full flyers comp, or all these other crazy things. I can't wait to see how this game fucks up. Because, I mean, the biggest benefit towards Rivals is that it's new. But the biggest problem with the new game is there's new lessons to be learned. If you let people fly omnidirectionally at all times, is that going to be a problem? If you make this many melee characters in a third-person shooter, is that gonna be a problem? I don't know. We won't know till people start playing more of it and taking it more seriously. But that's the important part. We don't know yet. We don't know what characters will be added to this game that will break it. We don't know what synergies are going to be OP. We don't know what balance changes are going to happen. And people are actually excited for a hero shooter in 2024. That's something that no one is ever excited for. And that, honestly, is what I think Rivals has over the hero shooter genre. That it's not Overwatch 2. Or worse, Concord. Happy Monday.